to another episode of Becoming Me Again, The Journey, the podcast dedicated to empowering you to embrace self-love and prioritize yourself. I'm your lovely host, Cheyenne, and in today's episode, we're diving deep into the beautiful journey of loving yourself and putting yourself first. Picture this. It's a busy day. You have a million things on your to-do list. The deadline's looming, and everyone around you is demanding your time and attention. Sounds familiar? We've all been there. But amidst the chaos, we often forget one crucial thing: ourselves. Self-love isn't just about pampering yourself with bubble baths and face masks, although those things can be wonderful too, and they're definitely needed. But it's also about recognizing your worth, embracing your flaws, and making conscious choices to prioritize your own well-being. I know in last week's episode, we talked about knowing your worth, but when you know your worth, then you also have to realize that you need to put yourself first. You deserve that. The way you treat yourself can heavily impact the way others treat you. And recognizing how valuable you are, it's also important, and it means deciding that you come first. So how can we truly love ourselves and put ourselves first? Well, let me share a personal story that might resonate with you. A few years ago, well, more like a year ago, I found myself constantly putting others' needs before my own. And the sad thing about it is, I was actually very happy with it. If you've been allowing yourself to believe that others people's needs are greater priority than yours, it's like you're tricking your brain to believe that this is normal, this is okay, and you become content with the idea. But this is a false happiness that you live in, and it's temporary. Because come on, you can only keep lying to yourself for so long until reality hits and knocks you back to earth. And when reality hit me, it hit hard. I was exhausted, physically, emotionally drained, and I felt like I was losing my sense of self. It wasn't until I hit rock bottom that something clicked within me, and I needed to take care of myself. And taking care of myself would mean that I would be better for me in order for me to be able to be there effectively for others. In my last relationship, I really wanted my ex to choose me. And I would have done almost anything. But long story short, he didn't. And honestly, it felt like a constant pattern in my life, always wanting to be chosen. But the crazy thing is, I never chose me. I never fully grasped how beautiful I was, inside and out, how much I brought to the table, how deserving I was. It was just like a cycle of me longing to be chosen, as if that would make me more valuable. Honestly, I don't know what I was thinking. But this mentality makes you feel so undeserving, and you accept so many unfair treatments that you should never stand for. But when you are hit with that realization, like, hey, what am I doing? Your whole outlook on the things you're willing to accept changes. Loving yourself begins with setting boundaries. It's about learning to say no when it doesn't align with your desires or values. Trust me, it's not selfish, it's self-preservation. Take a moment right now and think about something you've said yes to, recently or maybe in the past, something that you wish you hadn't. It could be anything. Maybe it was that extra project at work when you're already overloaded, or perhaps it was attending an event when all you wanted was some quiet time for yourself. Just think about that. Now imagine how it would have felt if you had said no and prioritized your own needs. Remember, by putting yourself first, you create space for self-care, personal growth, and overall happiness. Self-love also involves embracing your flaws and imperfections. We live in a world that constantly bombards us with unrealistic standards of beauty and perfection. But let me remind you, you are perfect just the way you are. Hopefully, you don't get tired of me saying this, but I'm gonna keep on keeping on because maybe you haven't been saying it to yourself enough. Because I know I've definitely fallen short. The only time I've ever been short in my life. I'm talking about my height. I'm random, I know. But okay, you've heard my story and maybe you see yourself in it a bit, but you're like, Cheyenne, what about me? How do I love myself and all that good stuff? It starts with a mindset shift. We must recognize our own worthiness and value, understanding that we deserve love, care, and respect just as much as anyone else. This means prioritizing our own needs without guilt or hesitation. I don't know why we have been conditioned to feel so guilty when we make decisions that benefit ourselves. Of course, I'm not saying to go out there and do things for yourself without a care in the world about how it impacts other people. Don't be a sociopath. But you and I both know there are decisions you've been making where you could have and should have put your needs and wants first. And you didn't. And you can't be out here settling for less than you deserve. How much do you mean to yourself? What are you willing to accept? Start asking yourself these questions. Self-love also involves setting healthy boundaries in all areas of life, from personal relationships to work commitments. We must learn to say no when necessary and protect our time and energy for activities and decisions that bring us joy and fulfillment. If you have no boundaries, that means anyone can stretch you out without limit. And it also opens you up to being influenced by other people, doing things people want you to do, not necessarily what you want to do, living a life for others and not for yourself. And you have to stop that. No one else can stop that but you. And it honestly doesn't matter who you're dealing with or who is trying to involve themselves in aspects of your life that should be personal. You have to stand up for yourself and what you believe in, what makes you happy, what you want, what you desire. Do you see the denominator here? The common denominator? It's you. It's not about what anybody else wants in this aspect. What do you want? Figure that out and set a bold boundary where people who respect you will also respect your choices without interference, and the ones who aren't able to respect your choices, sometimes even family, for the sake of yourself, you may need to distance yourself from these people. But that's a topic for another day. The point is, in order to have your individuality, you need boundaries. If you love yourself, then you want to treat yourself good. You want other people to treat you good as well. And this means just as there are things you are not willing to accept, you also need to open up yourself to things that you deserve. What do you deserve? What do you want in this life? How do you want to grow? When last have you asked yourself these questions, if ever? When you lack self-love, you don't really see all the beautiful things that make you you. And you become more willing and lenient with others. And maybe even a little bit of a pushover. Maybe you have been compromising on things that you value, things that you wanted from a partner, from a career, from your family. All the things you truly desired seem to take a backseat because you've been forgetting to prioritize aspects that make you who you are and what you want from this life. But here's the thing. When you are finally able to accept and love the person you are, putting yourself first is so much easier and your priorities shift. And with that, another powerful aspect of both loving yourself and putting yourself first is not compromising on the things you deserve. I mean, I could sit here and tell you all the things you deserve: to be loved genuinely beyond your exterior, to be accepted on the outside and on the inside, to be desired, to be cared for, to be good to be respected, to be stood up for. I mean, I could go on and on. These are some of the things that I know I deserve and believe you deserve too, and should never be compromised on. But this is not what the journey is about. It's about your own self-discovery. See, I'm on this journey with you, and I've been thinking about what I deserve. But we're in this together. And as much as I want us to all rediscover ourselves together, it is so much more important that as an individual, you can think about this to really hone in on the process. Take some time, make some time. Think about what you deserve. Think about both the good and the bad experiences you've had, the good ones. You know what wasn't right for you, what didn't work, what you compromised on when you shouldn't have. So open that door and reflect on it. Sometimes writing it down helps. And maybe at the end of this, you'll be able to realize what you deserve and leave all the things you don't deserve behind. So I've talked about putting yourself first, but there is a reason behind my blabber. Why is it important to put yourself first? Well, first off, by prioritizing yourself, you open the door to personal and social growth. When you invest time and energy in your own well-being, it can lead to increased self-awareness and a deeper understanding of ourselves. And additionally, you become more resilient and better able to handle life's challenges. Plus, when you're thriving personally, your relationships flourish too. It's a win-win situation. Putting yourself first also has a sneaky little benefit. It changes your perspective on things. You start to see the world through a different lens, one that's focused on self-worth and self-value. Suddenly you realize that you deserve happiness and fulfillment just as much as anyone else. Taking time for ourselves helps us recharge and gain clarity on what truly matters in our lives. It allows us to let go of unnecessary stressors and focus on what brings us joy and fulfillment. And when your perspective shifts and you start putting yourself first, you realize your own value. Many of us struggle with self-worth, often putting others' needs ahead of our own because we feel undeserving. However, when we prioritize ourselves, we begin to recognize our own worth. By engaging in self-care practices, we send a powerful message to ourselves and others that our needs matter and deserve attention. This shift in perspective can literally be life-changing. It helps you embrace your uniqueness, celebrate your strengths, and recognize your true value. And let me tell you, realizing your worth is like unlocking a superpower. You become unstoppable, my friend. Like Superman has nothing on you. Wonder Woman, where? Supergirl, who? Batman, what is that? You become a mega superhero. Not to be confused for Megamind. I kid. But I'm not even finished. There's more. Putting yourself first gives you a sense of purpose and direction in life. When you prioritize self-care and personal growth, you discover what truly lights you up, that spark. You start to pursue your passion, set meaningful goals, and live a life that aligns with your values. It's like finding your North Star, guiding you towards a fulfilling and purpose-driven existence. And let's be honest, Life's too short to settle for anything less than extraordinary. Well, that's a wrap, folks. We've reached the end of today's episode, but before I bid thee farewell, let's recap on some of the key takeaways and share some tips and advice on the importance of loving yourself and putting yourself first. It's crucial to remember that self-love, it isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. So here are some tips to help you embrace and prioritize yourself. Embrace your uniqueness. Celebrate what makes you special, and don't be afraid to flaunt it. Remember, you're the only you there is, and that's pretty darn amazing. Practice self-care. Take time for yourself regularly, whether it's indulging in a bubble bath, or going for a walk in nature, or just some good old self-reflection. Prioritize activities that rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Set healthy boundaries. Learn to say no when necessary. It's okay to put your needs first and establish boundaries that protect your mental and emotional well-being. Surround yourself with positivity. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift you and support you is essential. Build a network of friends and loved ones who inspire you to be your best self. And lastly, gratitude. Practice gratitude. It is the ultimate love language for yourself. Take a moment each day to reflect on the things you appreciate about yourself and your life. It's incredible how these simple acts can shift your perspective. And again, remember, loving yourself isn't selfish, it's self-preservation. When we prioritize our own well-being, we become better equipped to take care of others. It's like they say on airplanes when you're traveling. Secure your own oxygen mask before assisting others. And if you find it challenging to embrace self-love or put yourself first, don't worry. It's a journey, and we're all in this together. High School Musical? Be patient with yourself, practice self-compassion, and remember that progress, no matter how small, is still progress. And with that, I'll wrap up today's episode. Loving yourself is a lifelong adventure worth embarking on. So go out there and make me proud, make yourself proud, and shower yourself with the love you deserve. Thank you so much for joining me today as we rediscover who we are. It's amazing. And until next time, take care of yourselves and stay blessed.